Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Show, where our mission is to inspire, impact, and influence other immigrant entrepreneurs to follow their dreams and create the future they want. My guest today is Elona Lopari, the CEO of the Life School. Elona, welcome to the show.
Ali, thank you so much for having me here. I feel right at home already.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. So, Elona, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your immigrant background, and then we will get to the rest of the good things.
Yeah, so today my mission and vision and purpose is to help other entrepreneurs who are purpose driven, much like myself. I share that a little bit in my story. How did I actually end up here? Do more good in the world. I help them scale their purpose and profit because I really believe that once your purpose is clear and you lead with that, profit is just a byproduct. Build healthy companies and help people kind of align both of those because I really believe that people that lead with purpose are also people that can create impact and serve others. So that's kind of the mission behind the work that I do today. But let me kind of reverse back to my origin story. I'm natively from Albania, moved to US, specific New York, 27 years ago when I was only 15 with my parents and siblings. Obviously, the change, from high school coming here was not very easy, even though I was a very hopeful teenager, so to speak, because my dad very, very early on instilled the American dream in me that you can be and do anything here. And I just remember those beginning words, even actually driving from the airport to our basement at that time, because that's what we could afford because of the lack of connections or lack of knowledge of the language that my parents had at that time. So I grew up very fast. I was the oldest child. Right away, I started translating because I did do a course in Albania, thankfully, so I knew English in a very British accent way. However, that served me well because I was able to right away help with a lot of different translations, enrolling my siblings in school. So I became, the third parent pretty much in the house very fast. Got my first job as a waitress, as a babysitter, all those beginning jobs as I was going through school pretty much because another, I guess, thing that my dad instilled in me is that education, right? Because education back to their generation was always the thing that was going to always give you freedom and independence and financial stability, which is why we also came here. So I graduated with business management and finance degree from college here in New York. And then I climbed the corporate ladder, not knowing, what else I could have done because that was the other thing, reaching the American dream, have a, safe degree and climb the corporate ladder, have a successful, safe career. So that's what I did for many years. I worked in the retail environment for a Fortune 500 company for 13 years. And I was very blessed because the company was in growth mode. So I was always learning and growing. I did HR, marketing, sales, executive leader. So and then I did it. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. Meanwhile, I built my little family. I had my kids, my husband and all of that, but I still felt unhappy. So I went back to my parents and I'm like, well, why is it you lied to me? Because you said that, when you will achieve success based on the blueprint that you gave me, I was supposed to be happy. However, I started to feel a lot of lack of fulfillment. I was not happy with what I was doing. I was, because early on I was achieved for a praise for achievement. I thought that the only way to earn, love by the people that I cared about was to keep achieving. However, I realized very early on that I need to go within and figure out some inner work that I needed to figure out. And that's when my paths crossed with entrepreneurship. The company was really changing its culture. It turned very toxic and profit driven. So I said, okay, I don't think this is working out anymore. The journey kind of ends here. So I made the pivot to entrepreneurship and I said, let me see now what I can do on this end because I've always been on the other end. And I know I'm very experienced in skills because I was adding lots of value within the company I was in. So that's kind of how I started into the journey of entrepreneurship. Still working for 2 years and building my company on the side. And then eventually, when I was comfortable enough to make the pivot, I did so. And this has also been a challenging journey, of course, of evolution. But when I look back, I realized that I'm a born entrepreneur. I was very entrepreneurial in the company I was working with. And now as an entrepreneur, I get to create things. I get to work on things that matter to me, do significant work in the world based on my unique expertise and experience and all of that. So, yeah, that's a little bit about, regarding the journey and how I got here.
Awesome. Thank you. What was what was the biggest surprise when you shifted from your corporate job to becoming an entrepreneur, being your own boss now and having all the responsibility that one has for their own company? What was the biggest surprise and the biggest change and shift for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was mindset. I was not used to thinking like an entrepreneur. I was used to thinking like an employee. I wanted to
Mm,
do work and then get rewarded. Without realizing that there was going to be a lot of pieces in the pie in building my own company that I didn't know what I didn't know. So that was the first thing that surprised me, or at least that I had to do a lot of work around the mindset piece and shift a lot of the way that I was working or I was staying grounded in the journey. The other piece was that when you're in a structured environment, it's much easier because they already have drawn a path for you. You have a lot of support around you. You have people around you, giving you the resources. But when you're out on your own, it's you, yourself, and I. So I can only look in the mirror and focus on my own self to be able to pick up the pieces or figure out the next things that I needed to work on, which were gonna give me also the income that I was looking for, but obviously also ensure that I was working on the right priorities to grow a healthy company. So those two pieces I found that were the most challenging. The first one, obviously, I've overcome now. As you become seasoned, you kind of shift and you transform, and you're always learning and growing. And then the second piece, I'm still creating the structures around my own company so that you can have that healthy foundation for it to grow. But yeah, I mean, when you're on your own, you're the one that is doing this. So you're kind of on
mm,
the other side now of what it takes to actually grow a company. And I love that I have both perspectives because I think that's also helpful in the way that I look at things from an employee perspective when I hire team or clients or customers, and then as the perspective of a founder that has to make all the right moves and decisions at the right phase, the stage of growth of their business, so they can, have a life outside of their business. Because usually that's another problem for lots of us as entrepreneurs.
hmm Absolutely. And when you said I was used to do work and then get rewarded, also something that we entrepreneurs do. We do oftentimes so much work and we don't get rewarded for it right away because sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes it's gonna take years till you get rewarded for it, and just keep going to with what you do and how you do it. It's also something that I believe is very different than working a 9 to 5 job, regardless of your position, and just getting rewarded right away for all the work you do. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's also smart to know what you're working towards and change as needed, because that's another thing I've have fallen in the trap of, kind of, because I'm very disciplined and I build those habits already. You tend to work on comfortable things because you think that that's kind of okay, just a little bit more, a little bit more. I'm only like 2-3 millimeters from gold. But I've also realized that if what you're doing is not working, you need to go and find the right people or find the right information so that you change up your strategy, because everything is intentional strategy. At the end of the day, there's a million ways you can grow a business, which makes this world very complex, but also very beautiful because there's no two ways to grow a business. So yeah, I've learned to definitely stay consistent if I believe that what I'm doing works, and I've seen results obviously from that. But I've also learned that staying comfortable in this journey, this is just not the right journey to stay comfortable. Every time you feel like you're comfortable
Hmm.
and something is, working, then rinse and repeat and delegate it out if you can, and then continue to work on the next business development thing that you need to do to keep growing. There's no such thing as staying in the same spot, which is the best personal development school, which is why I called my company the Life School, because of that, because
Hmm.
of the similarity between growing a business and also personally developing yourself as leaders and as CEOs.
Hmm. I love that. So was the company and structure and everything when you started it? the exact same way like it is structured and the mission and everything like it is today, or did you shift it and adjust it through the journey?
Yeah, no, definitely not how it is today. When I started, it was just me. I started from
Hmm.
experience, I like to say, because I think everything in life is like that. You always gain experience, and was able to utilize a lot of my business skills that I had learned. So I don't think I started from scratch, but no, obviously the company was, from beginning with my first client, second, third, fourth, and all of that. Um, but yeah, no, it doesn't look the same because now that I'm at scale, I'm focused more on the business development activities that only I can do as a CEO and founder, and have implemented systems and people to be able to do the other pieces of the company so that I'm not a bottleneck of the company and I'm keeping it small. So now, obviously, it looks like a small company still because small to medium
Hmm.
company is a wide range of sales of revenue, but it's not just me, myself, and I have people around me, and I have some sort of structure and systems implemented. And I've also built a brand over the years and relationships, so those are very important as well. But yeah, I think the more you scale, the more you grow in the journey, the more your job as a CEO becomes about really working very clearly, simplifying things, and working on the things that are going to add the most value in the company. And then everything else is a rinse and repeat. Figure out how to systematize it, how to do SOPs, standard operating procedures around you, and then that's how you scale. Otherwise, you're just going to have a very, very hectic, more than a full-time job if you don't do that. And yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, and I believe it's a learning curve, right? When you got started, you don't know all the things that you know obviously today, and it's a learning curve, and as you go, you adjust and optimize. So what I wonder is, when you leave your corporate job or while you're building your new company, you could do a million things. You could build a million kind of businesses. What made you decide that the life school is the thing that you would want to do out of so many opportunities, so many options that you probably had even back then?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of the inner clarity. At that point, I started doing a lot of more self care things like meditating, exercising, things like that, which really help us get a lot of clarity around, okay, what is the new thing that I want to do? Where do I want to focus in? And because I always leveraged myself on my business acumen experience, I find that that's my talent and leadership. That was always very clear to me that was the lane I was going to always be in.
Mm.
The rest was just figuring out how to optimize my business model, how to create results for my clients, how to do things faster, easier, better for my clients, and all of that. And that also came with lots of experience. But I think I always knew that this is always my lane, that I would stay under, and just exposing myself to lots of different business models and then figuring out how to make my own secret sauce, based on my own experience. So I think I was always attracted to the coaching and consulting space because of the value add of condensing experience into such a short amount of time, which is where that spoke to me very highly, because for me, life experience is very important. When you have experience, you get to add that to other people and share that and help someone else shorten the timeline, because we really always get, I mean, even my parents instilled in me, be successful financially, make a lot of money. No one taught us how to also save time, which is another very important resource. So if you can find something where with your experience you can create a product, because everything is a product even though you have a service or a product where you're just condensing decades into a year or 6 months, and you can create a product and then you can transform other people's lives with that. I was hooked, and that's kind of how I knew that, okay, this is what speaks to me, and this is what I want to do, pairing it with business and leadership, and it's kind of where I've always stayed.
Mhm. That's very powerful. Did you have anyone in your life that you looked up to as a role model?
Yeah, many role models, in my further family, like cousins that have built successful businesses. role models in my old career, the people that have really helped me see a lot of my abilities and gifts that I couldn't see for myself, and kind of put me in those environments where I can showcase those, and also, show myself that actually I can, I have these things and they're different from other people. Because I think something that we all do as humans, once we're good at something, it's natural to us. We think everyone must be the same way, but that's not how the world works. And then a lot of virtual mentors, which a lot of them I've met. Tony Robbins was my first experience in this industry, and then many, many more people and mentors that I've also hired and have the pleasure to partner with, that are further along the journey of where I would like to be. And because of them and them sharing their experience, I was able to also condense decades into, years, and be able to know exactly what I am working on or what I'm doing. And I'm hooked and always learning, and I'm a life student. I've always find now mentors that I align with that are further ahead of me, so that I can learn, whether it's through the products of books or courses or programs or trainings. I'm always consuming something, but also sitting in with my own wisdom and intuition to be able to implement, with things that align to me, and not, to be a copycat for what's already out there, and just be innovative in the way that I create solutions to the problems that I want to solve.
Very interesting. When we speak of mentors, oftentimes people think, "Oh, mentor is someone that I know in person in my own life." Mentor could be a book. Mentor could be a YouTube channel, someone on social media that you follow and learn and adapt and get used to what they share. Mentor, we don't always need. Of course, that's a huge advantage if we have access to a mentor in person that we can get a hold of. But mentors don't always have to be someone that is next to us, like our neighbor or in our town. Mentors with social media and with internet, that we have access to anyone and everyone these days. Mentors can be anywhere. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I didn't even find many mentors live or locally, unfortunately, when I started. So I had to rely on podcasting was my form of exposing myself to people that were doing things in the world that I aligned with. But then, of course, all these virtual communities nowadays, and YouTube and all these new platforms where you can just search for things and kind of just consume people's content, but then obviously invest in the things that you find will save you time and make you money. I think that's always the wisest investments that we can make. And that's what I've learned also as an entrepreneur, because as an employee mindset is always about learn, 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 and then you don't passively react. But when you value your time very wisely, and when you want to return things fast, as an entrepreneur, you always think in time and money commodities.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you can find people nowadays anywhere. I think it's important to focus yourself and find a couple of people that align with where you are in the journey now. And then usually you will outgrow people, which is good. That means you're evolving, because if you're always in the same spot, then that means obviously you're stuck somewhere. But if you're always evolving and now you're in a different spot and you've gathered experience and you've implemented, then it might be that you will always change your mentors and people that you admire, because you've now in a different spot and you're looking for new things. I mean, you're always solving new problems. Problems never go away. Thank God we have problems. Otherwise, there wouldn't be entrepreneurship. You're
Mm-hmm.
just solving a different problem at a different stage. And that is how you grow, and that is how we add value.
100%. Would you say being an immigrant and having gone through the journey that you went through was an advantage to you becoming an entrepreneur?
I would say so, because when I have gone back now to do a lot of work with my native community, I found that a lot of innovation and creativity and entrepreneurship is also like part of the culture there. So it's like,
Mm,
is this like, something that's by chance or on purpose? And I don't think anything is by chance. Everything is, always there for the right reason.
mm,
So that has helped me, but also being able to be very diverse. I think diversity especially when I work with bigger companies, with growing their cultures, diversity is your superpower, right? And
Mhm.
developing top talent is your superpower, because people come in, and in your company, you always want to think like that when you hire your team. People want to come in with different experiences and add value to you that is complementary to what you already have inside the company or even yourself. So just being exposed to such a diverse group of people and learning from a lot of cultures, I've been able to look at patterns and things that we have in common as humans anyway. But then, the diverse ways that I get to connect with those cultures, because we have other pieces that we have in common. Because as humans, that's how we build trust. We have things in common, right? So
Mhm.
I just, that has brought a whole new set of colors, so to speak, to not just the American culture that I was exposed to for 25 years, but also that culture as well. And I think it just makes someone even more interesting, right? More curious. There's just so much more you can bring to the table. And I've always liked that. I like the diversity piece.
Mhm. I love that. So, what do you think? How can people align their personal and professional success?
I love that question. And I've come to find out that it's good for that to be aligned from the inside out rather than the outside in. And when I
Mhm.
began my journey, I started with outside in, trying to get things, achieve,
Mhm.
success, material stuff, get married, have a nice home, all these things that, you know, um, it's defined as success from the outside. But now I've learned to be very much more strategic and be more intentional with what I mean by aligning success from the inside out is first clarify what are your values as an individual, what is your vision, and what is your mission for where you want to go. Once you have clarity on all those three important factors, then you could start to find the right resources or to find the right channels or paths that you need to follow to be able to get to that specific I call it purpose now, right? It's your purpose, because there's a reason why it's coming to you and it speaks to you. It's probably connected to your talents, to your things that are already inside of you, your potential, but you just don't know obviously yet because it's not realized. So there's a lot of different, tools and stuff that I also work with my clients to be very intentional with the right questions to be able to ask ourselves, so that we go outside of our limits, our old stories and things that hold us back, because usually those are the blockage of our potential and our purpose. We have, all those limiting things that we think, and we can't see a big vision for ourselves because we just get too scared. So while you remove a lot of that, then it just becomes very clear. And that's how you know, okay, this is now me defining success. And every day you're measuring yourself with the way that you're feeling and your improvement, constant improvement. Don't compare yourself to others. There's a few principles that help as well. Be grateful every day, for the steps you're taking. But be very intentional with where you're going, and you get to define that. No more society gets to define that for you. That's the difference of how we can flip the equation on the other side.
Mm. And I'm also someone who had these limiting beliefs, but I'm asking this question for the audience and for you to answer it, because I have now my own methods, but I wonder what your way is. So when we talk about purpose, a lot of people, and I was one of them, think, okay, if I follow my purpose, if I follow my mission, then there is no money to be made, because it's either or. Either I follow, go the career down the path, the career that is made for me to make me financially free, or I go and, let's say I'm a spiritual guy, I go meditate and do that, and what is aligned with me and who I am and my purpose. So, but obviously, you have figured out ways when you talk about purpose that can also be aligned with the business, with being profitable. Um, Please tell us more about that.
Yeah, I love that, because I've also came from the same school of thought that the two are very separate, right? You either follow your passion, your heart, and your gifts and all of that, or you are broke, right? Because that's just a
Mm,
hobby, and I don't know how how you are able to monetize that and turn that into some sort of business or use the channel of entrepreneurship to be able now to offer that to other people. But that's the beautiful thing, right? Because as long as you are clear about what is it that you would like to do, and I always say purpose comes from two things. Either we have pain in our lives that we've overcome before, or passion that we now want to share with others. So those are usually the two channels that we kind of get our aha moment and be like, or maybe hear our intuition. I don't know, people have experienced inner voice. You sit with yourself, you kind of hear things, or like things come to you and be like, this is not where you're supposed to be, or have misalignment, inner conflict between where you are and what you're feeling. So that's kind of how you know that you're not on the right path. And that's what I was feeling specifically as well. So once you know that the other pieces in the world, this why this is a beautiful world. There's billions of people out there. So as long as you know how to package and process, systematize that specific pain or pleasure that you like to help others with, or passion, and you're solving a unique problem for someone, and you're giving someone a specific result, then that's how you use the channel of entrepreneurship to be able to monetize that and systematize that and scale that. Because there's always people in the world that are going to need the thing that you've already overcome, or that you are so passionate about giving to others. Because at the end of the day, what is business? A bartering system. We're always exchanging problem for solution. And we're always looking for a solution to a specific problem. So as long as you understand how to do that and put it in the structure of a business model, the business and all of that, then you find your people that are looking for that. And that's how you're able to align it with profit. But I find that if purpose comes first and you're passionate about the work you do, you always feel like you're in service, and you're not money hungry or waiting to make money out of people, or looking at people like leads, looking at people like dollar signs. That's a whole wrong mindset to be able to do things, because your energy will really show up. People will know that you're not there to serve them. You're just there to, offer something that is going to only benefit you, and it's not a good benefit for both parties. So it might seem like, well, who's going to know what my intention is? But I'm telling you, your intention is very strong. And even though you're not seeing it, people are very aware nowadays, and they can pick up energy. So it has to come from a good place, because even when you grow a culture, if your values are those, then obviously you're going to transfer that over to people on your team. And that's how I've seen culture go very fast, very sour. My company kept losing talent left and right. And how are you ever going to grow? And eventually, obviously, they are not doing well. And that's how you see the repercussion of those kind of choices as well. So yeah, there's a better way to do it. Let's kind of get around the right people and get the right information, education, and get everybody aligned and clear. And and I really believe that this is how we can even transform, the world and the environments that we live in, and improve the quality of other people's lives.
I love that. And I have seen, let's take sales as an example. I have seen great salespeople and when I really analyze them a little bit, I realize there is two things that they usually have. They care about their prospects, their clients, their customers, and they completely believe in the product or the service that they're selling. And then when these two match, they're now like, hey, if I'm not selling this product or service to these people, then I'm not doing them a service, because this is such an amazing product that I have, or a service that they are in need of. And now if I do not offer it and sell it to them, I'm doing them a disservice. And these people usually are the most successful salespeople that I have seen, at least in my life.
Absolutely. When you're in service, you're always in the right place doing the right thing. And again, if you don't believe in what you do, then get out of that and figure out what you like to do, and offer that to people. And also come from your experience. I think that's another important thing too, because you can be in integrity, right? And looking at things like a partner, right? When you're going into a sales call, it's really a service call to me. It's always listening. What are the needs? What is the problem? How long has someone experienced the problem they have? and then listen attentively for a lot of those things and figure out the pain points and the frustrations and the vision for their lives. Where are they trying to go? What does good look like for them? And once all of that is out, then it's very clear around, okay, am I a good fit? If I'm not a good fit, I'll say I'm not a good fit and I'll refer them. But be in integrity. Don't look at people again like numbers, dollar signs, leads. I don't like a lot of the marketing language, even though I do marketing. But we can definitely change a lot of the verbiage, because I think a lot of the bad role modeling around business and sales has made a lot of people very cautious around, being able to grow their companies and sell what they have. But yeah, it's a lot of mindset shifts around sales, but sales done the heart-driven way is just honestly another conversation around, you have a problem and I can solve it, and I don't want to see you struggle any longer, because you probably have already struggled for such a long time. And then when it comes to objections, it's just people's fears. So you being trained enough to understand how to hold that space so people get that clarity, and not convince anyone. I don't ever believe in that, but just hold the space to remind people of their potential and their pain points so they make that decision. It's really facilitating the decision making so that we could get this process of transformation started, because unless the sale is closed, then we can't continue to serve. So just looking at things in a macro level more than kind of just like um only the person in front of you. If you gotta look at the whole picture, so that how all these things fit, and you gotta believe that that is actually something that you believe in as well. Otherwise, yeah, it's just going to be seen that you are there for the wrong reason. And people, you don't even need to say anything, because now we're not living in the same environment of sales we used to operate in years ago. People are very well trained. Information is out there. Your consumer has more information than you sometimes. So we also have to train ourselves to be purpose-driven salespeople as well, as I always say, because sales at the end of the day is just service at the highest level.
Very true. Very true. When somebody is listening to our conversation and is like, hey, it makes all sense to me, and I would love to build a company that is purpose driven. Now, what is the foundation for that?
Yeah, I love your question. It's just like human life that I talked about. We come up with your business model that's aligned with your profit and your purpose goals, your vision and your mission and your market, right? Those have to be very clear, because once those are clear, then we can have the right messaging going at the people that you want to focus on. Once we have those foundations, that we look at the marketing channels that we need to be able to utilize so that we can build know, like, and trust with the right people that we want to serve. Again, whether these are organic marketing channels or paid, that's based on everybody's strategy and where they are in the journey. But that's necessary, because a business without marketing and sales, we can't help people beyond that. So those have to be in order. And then once the right systems are in place with as far as your marketing channels, your prospect journeys, then we go into your client piece, meaning do we have the right client journeys? Are we optimizing the lifetime value of your current clients? And how are we ensuring that your clients keep getting results, depending on obviously what everyone is offering? So those are some of the foundational pieces. And then you just build on top of that, and then you create teams, and I have a 5-person team that I help my companies with, so I can remove the owner out of the company, and the company can be self-sufficient, because eventually you want to always think with the end in mind. When you build a company, you want to build an asset. You want to build a company that is value driven. And if you want to sell it tomorrow, then the company has value. It's got its contacts, it's got its sales, it's got its team, it's got its system set up, and it's not relying on you. Because when people want to consider a company to buy, for example, they obviously want to see if it's operational. So as long as your operations are healthy, then that's how you know you're working on the right priorities. But the basis of it all, whether you have a product or service, whatever market, this is what the basis of it is. It's really understanding those pieces and how they all work together, because it's almost like a puzzle piece. But once it's all working, then you can rinse and repeat and scale and grow to current markets, different services, and grow as big as you would like, based on the vision of the CEO.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, when I listen to you, and it sounds like for somebody who is starting out, it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of structures and everything. So who do you work with usually?
Yeah, when you're starting out, you have different problems. Your problems when you're starting out, you're by yourself. You don't have the time and the resources and the team. So you have to work on a business model which is more quality than quantity. Because most people that get into business, they always want to just go over more people and they want to sell more stuff. It's a different strategy. When you start out, you are baby stepping into setting up some structures in place so that you can get your first couple of clients. Once you serve your first couple of clients and you get your testimonials going, and those clients hopefully are bringing you good clients if you have a good product or service, then the rest of the pieces you start to scale your business model where your service delivery is done more efficiently. And then you could start to invest in paid traffic into your company or team. So it's usually in phases. It's not, I mean, to me, it's not overwhelming, but I understand what I was at the beginning. All of these seemed like, oh my gosh, like too many dots to connect. There's all the different ways to do it. But yeah, I mean, with someone that does this, it's pretty much a very streamlined process. But yeah, you just have to focus on different things. When you have all that foundation in piece, you have consistent sales coming in, then you focus on the systems and the team so you can keep growing, and you just have to align your business model to that. But that's a different problem. Usually that's a scaling problem. You now have the foundation and then you can keep growing with that. But yeah, at the beginning, it's all about clarity of your business model, your market, your messaging, and the right channels, and getting those couple clients in the door, and then continuing to create consistent revenue.
So at what stage do entrepreneurs usually come to you?
Yeah, so I work with companies 1 to 10 million. I still have companies that come to me that are under 1 million. So once we get them to that level, then we can keep growing at the next level where there's more need for structure, operational things, and scaling with those things that I mentioned. But under 1 million, it's usually just foundational pieces put in place so that the company generates enough revenue and income based on its goals. And then we can get to the other level beyond that. But yes, 1 to 10 million is my market.
Gotcha. And is it industry agnostic? Do you work with entrepreneurs from all different industries, or is it more specific towards to online businesses?
So I am very focused in the service space. So consulting, coaching, dental, financials. If you have a service, it's a business that I can help. So yeah, service space mostly. I've helped a lot of product businesses, but that's different type of business model. There's a few tweaks because product is a little, it's got a different marketing channels and distribution channels. But yeah, for me, my niche and my sweet spot is service.
Gotcha. Just for the sake of clarification, you're not only working with female entrepreneurs, right?
No, I'm not. I work with
Okay.
all gender.
Okay, because I had a guest a few shows away in the past, and she was working mainly with female entrepreneurs on the speaking gigs and everything. I was just wondering if that's the same case with you.
Yeah, no, my mission is beyond just the gender piece. It's purpose, doing good in the world. So 80% of my clients are female, and I'm looking to change the equation. 20 are male.
Mhm.
I would like for this to be more even and harmonized, where women are also building companies in the top 2%, which is 1 to 10 million and beyond. But yeah, I'm open to. They have to be driven entrepreneurs, someone that's purpose driven, someone that's committed, someone that knows the value of their time and money, and it just wants to scale. If you have a small vision, you probably don't need to come to me. You stay where you are, you're good. But if you have a big vision to build a company beyond yourself, those are usually the people I attract.
I love that. Do you work with immigrant entrepreneurs as well?
Yeah, I mean, I naturally attract a lot of immigrants, entrepreneurs from different cultures. Obviously, Albanian is a common one, but also
Hmm.
other cultures because they resonate with my journey. And I do share I'm very proud of where I came from. I believe that in a personal development journey, we have to embrace our past so that we can operate in our present and then build for the future. So yeah, I naturally attract people that are different cultures that are also looking to build companies. But yeah, people resonate with you in different ways, but that's one common point that I have with people that resonate with that piece of my journey.
Mm. And when you get to work with immigrant entrepreneurs, but also non-immigrants, is there anything that you find there is a commonality between immigrant entrepreneurs with all the different cultures and backgrounds, culturally backgrounds they come from? Is there anything that you see?
I love your question because there's one thing that I see that I had to overcome. Usually immigrant entrepreneurs feel not good enough to go to other markets that are not their own or native market because of the barrier of language, because of the barrier of, do I really understand how to relate to those other markets? Those are some things that I see. And that comes up for me too, because my accent kicks in once in a while. Now it's a mix, but I think it's just inner work to be done because people don't care, right? As long as you have your, again, doing this intentionally and you're in it for the right thing. If you have a solution to my problem, obviously you have to know the markets, which is important as well, because, you need to understand the messaging before you are going after certain markets. But once that's in place, then the rest is just our inner noise, kind of just always feeling like we're not good enough. And if we do some work and, figure out why, it usually comes into some, old stories or traumas or things that we've had to overcome as children and all of that. So, yeah, that's more of the personal development piece. But when just kind of simply put, it's really about around the barrier of not feeling good enough for the communication piece and also not knowing if I have stuff in common with other cultures and markets that are not my native.
100%. And I also, at least in my own case, I have seen that these are the stories that we run in our head. People oftentimes don't care as much as we think they would care. And if they care, they're just genuinely interested. Hey, and they ask in a nice way, what other languages do you speak? Or where were you born? Things like that, right? But if you know what you're talking about, and if you're offering them a service or a product, and if you exactly know what you're talking about, that's what they really care about. No, and of course they also care about you as a human. But it doesn't matter to them if you now speak perfectly fine with zero accent English or not. They just want to connect and learn more about you, but they do not care about the things that we obviously in our head run the stories all the time and think that they care about. That's been my experience.
Same with me. Absolutely. No, they do not care. And you know what? If you're going to attract judging people, then I don't want those people around me, right? Just like anything. I kind of look at things very simply sometimes, and that helps me. Because again, if those are people that are not going to resonate with me and I'm doing all the right things, then just let the wrong people not be around me and the right people come to me. Because yes, people that are interested in other people and genuinely want to connect with others, and as long as you're building trust and doing all the right things, that should not matter. It just, honestly, I think it's your superpower, because now that I understand the value of connecting, now the world is global. So if you can speak other language, you have a superpower in your business, because now you can connect with different markets. And especially when you want to grow into all these markets, you want to have people that speak the language and understand the cultures. So I don't think this is a limitation. This is actually a very big, strong superpower. But we just have to get over some of our stories and things that we are telling ourselves, because, yeah, at the end of the day, people, in a way, we're very selfish as humans. We just care about what's in it for me, right? So if you deliver it to me and you build trust with me, I'm going to listen. You got my attention. That's what it is at the end of the day. I mean, the rest of the
Mm,
stuff is just our own stuff that we put ourselves through. So, yeah,
mm,
that has helped. I have to learn. Personally also had to learn a lot of those different things because I've seen it
mm,
firsthand that yeah, the right people I've helped, they don't care. They just again like me for who I am. They trust me because of the things that I've been able to add value and build a meaningful relationship, and then the rest just is history. But yeah, I don't think that matters at all.
absolutely. And it also helps us expand. So when we have experienced different cultures as immigrants, it also helps to expand and connect with more people and obviously relate to more people. And that's definitely that it's going to help us. It's something that it's going to help us in our entrepreneurial journey. 100%. I truly have experienced that myself, and I believe that's the case for all the
Ways
immigrant
to connect with
entrepreneurs.
people fast. Speak the language and talk about food, right? These are the two
Right.
human things that connect us. So I always try to learn those two things if I can. If I can't learn
Right.
the language, then I'm going to learn about, food and what's good everywhere I travel and all of that. So yeah, I mean, look at people beyond the culture. Look at people just like the soul and the human behind them, and
Mm,
what they bring to the table. I think first of all you have to do that with yourself. That's kind of why this is challenging, because you can't do that to others unless you see yourself like that. So there's some personal development work to be done for sure. That's why I talk so much about that, because I don't think there's any business growth unless you do that, because you're always going to be blocking yourself. It's not the
mm,
strategies, it's not the knowledge. Sometimes it's also a lot of these things that are going to block you. So remove those things out of the way, and your energy will be very clear. And then always you're going to be like a magnet for good people. That's also the other good thing later on, once you remove a lot of those things that hold you back, and the stories and all of that. Because yeah, I think it's not one thing that you say. It's also how you portray and your energy and how you show up and how you connect with others. And you can't connect with others if you're disconnected from yourself. So that's why it goes back to you always. But that's the good
mm,
news, because we can always control ourselves. I always like that. I'm like, fine, I'm going to cry. And if I don't want to do something, but I'm like, at least it's always up to me. I can do something
mm,
about it.
mm,
So that's also very empowering. But also, for a lot of people, also scary, because it's like, oh my gosh, I got to do all this work. And, it is what it is, right? Everybody takes
mm,
it with however their perception of the world is. But it's also very empowering that you get to control all this stuff, because people, when you are out of control, sometimes you always focus on things that you want to control. And if you want to control something, it's always the way that you look at the world and the way that you talk about stories and the stories you tell yourself, which could be helpful or hurtful. So you got to watch that stuff.
100%. Very well said. Elona, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing all the wisdom and the experience with our audience. I'm 100% sure they are going to benefit a lot from this interview. Before we wrap up, please tell us where people can find you. Obviously, we will link you up in the show notes, but also please let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you so much for holding the space. I love this platform because I really believe that, yeah, more of us can come and share our experiences to empower, ourselves. And then once more of us talk about things, so people realize that, wait, it's not only me, and,
Mm,
these things might just be the limits that I'm holding. So I love that we had this conversation. You help you ask very intentional questions as well. People can continue to find me at my website. I have my hub. It's like all my resources are on there for free resources for people to check out. They can go to elonaloparicoaching.com, and they can check out some of the stuff I have on there.
perfect. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And it was amazing discussing with you.
Likewise, thank you for having me.